Joe John Madden Juanito. It's about 6 in the morning on Wednesday morning, the 24th, 2 days before my birthday. And I am sitting on a park bench where I have sat and slept on and off during the night in Murray Hill Park. Murray Hill Park is up above the River Arts District in Asheville, North Carolina. The River Arts District got hit really hard by the floods at the end of September. It's right next to the river. But this is way up on top of the hill. And my plan, when I had my surgery recently and then my rehab, was to take an apartment back on the other side of that tree line there. There's a nice apartment complex called Overlook. It's up on the Overlook, with a big park in front of it, and I had hit it off real well with the manager, and I was very optimistic about having a place to stay when I got out of there. But it fell through. It fell through. All I found out was that I didn't get it. And as far as I knew, they weren't giving me any responses about, was it because of bad credit, which I do have bad credit? Was it because of it costing more than a third of my Social Security check? I thought it was probably that. But they weren't giving me any answers. And I had a big infrastructure progress here, was that I had opened up a new checking account, debit account, and there's a guy coming this way who's walking the track, big guy. He's been just walking the loop here, and he's singing now, so we get to hear some singing. Yeah. So yeah. So then so I was gonna pick a new checking account. I had my debit card waiting for me at AHOPE, which is a homeless agency where I get my mail. So when people ask me my plans, they'd say, "You're being discharged Tuesday," was my request. I could have stayed another 3 or 4 days on Medicare, but Tuesday I had an appointment with my primary doctor up at Nahek in Asheville. Fletcher's quite a way south of Asheville. And just drop me off, discharge me Tuesday, take me on the shuttle bus, and I'll borrow get a dollar somehow to take the bus back downtown and go about my errands, which would be to go to AHOPE and get the debit card, go to set up a Uber account, new Uber account, and a new credit card. Uber it over to Best Buy, get a phone, because I've still been laboring. I still am laboring with my Mexico phone here with no minutes, so I don't have the capacity to call. People can't call me. So I'll do that, and then stop by Salvation Army, see if there's a bed there at the shelter. Maybe get over to West. I had such a ridiculously ambitious plan for the day. It sure didn't work out. It sure didn't. It did not work out at all. And so when people all around the rehab center were saying, "Well, you got a place to stay?" No, I don't. Oh, well, I sure hope it works out for you, because a lot of people knew that I had been 18 consecutive days homeless before getting there. Yeah, rough. It had been rough. It had been rough. I was recuperating from that as much as anything. So I hope it works out for you. And my consistent answer would be, I've given up thinking that I know what the words "work out" mean. Some things will go well, and some things won't go well. I'll get hit with just the right challenges. It's not going to be smooth sailing. I know that. I had no idea, though. I had no idea how not smooth yesterday was. So let me tell you how not smooth it was. So I was taken up there by Patricia, really nice black woman who is a shuttle driver now. She took me there, and that went well. My session with my doctor went well. I got on the bus to go back into town. I had done this before. I had taken the bus once back to town from there, and I had not realized that this was not the far point of that bus route. I got on a bus that was outgoing instead of coming back to town, and it took me way the hell south. It's a bus that goes way, way, way to the south side of Asheville, South Asheville. I got good tour, and I felt kind of peaceful. Oh, I get to see all this Long Shoals Road. I used to take this road. Yeah, and I used to live back on Rock Hill Road where I lived with Linda. Wasn't that in there? And then when I lived in Arden, I would go out Long Shoals. So that was really interesting. But I was burning up an hour. I lost an hour when I had already a ridiculously long list of stuff to get done. So I got back into town, walked over to A Hope. I knew they weren't going to be open, but had written Brittany, can I get my mail to see if I got my debit card. So Big John comes to the door and he says, Brittany says she's getting your mail. She can't see you now. I said, well, can I talk to her tomorrow because she's my apartment hunting coach at this point, and she's really sharp and very helpful and really in my corner. And Wednesday morning is the day they don't open, and they do appointments with people. So he says, no, tomorrow we're having an in-service training all day. We're doing nothing. The place is closed. You can see her on Thursday. Okay, there's a setback. So then the debit card has to be initialized. You have to do something to make it work. And you have to call a number on it. And my phone, this phone, you little stinking phone, does not make calls. So I get up to A Hope to ABCCM is my next stop. Wonderful homeless charity, also where they're good with food, they're good with clothes, they're good with rent, they're good on lots of scores. Well, and I have a real good friend there, Julia, who's helped me a lot, including letting me use her phone. Julia let me use it for 10, 15 minutes. Well, Julia isn't there. And I knew that they had funding cuts thanks to our fearless leader, who's down, really would rather the homeless just disappear somehow. And somebody on Fox News said, let's euthanize them. I go, shouldn't we just euthanize them? I think that recently. Whoa, America. Oh, America. Whoa. Yeah. So I knew they were having funding cuts, but Julia said, I'll land on my feet. I'll give you some other job. But she loved the job she was doing of helping the homeless there. Well, Julia doesn't work for this agency anymore. No, she's not there. And Vinny, my buddy, Angel from Cuba, oh, he's not here today. Okay. And we have so few staff today. We got nobody running to get food. We can't get you food or clothes. And I really needed shoes big time and some other clothes. No, we're not. You just don't have staff to do any of that today. Okay, so can I sit here and use your Wi-Fi? Yeah, you can do that for a little bit. So it was someone I didn't know at the desk. And so then I thought, and I said, I got to get that card initialized. So I went back up to the woman at the desk and said, there were people there who knew me. A couple people said, hi, Mr. John, how you doing? If there's not somebody here who could let me use their phone to initialize my debit card, I'll have to go down and do it at the hotel. Probably the hotel where I'm going to stay will let me do it there. Yeah, well, good luck doing it at the hotel. Just like that. No, I'm not going to see if somebody will. No. We're understaffed today, and I'm not feeling. I'm not even sure I like you. I don't know what was going on with her, but she wasn't. She was not service oriented. So I'm walking, and I got this idea. Discount Pharmacy is really dedicated to homeless. Always has been really sweet to the homeless. I will get my cigarettes. I've been without cigarettes for 3 weeks, and I'm sure wanting them. I will buy cigarettes, and I'll say to buy cigarettes, I have to initialize the card. And I got to someone who, at first, I thought she wasn't going to be very helpful because she was trying to initialize the card on the pad for paying, and that was not going to work. And it didn't work. And I said, okay, well, I'll go down to the hotel and maybe do it there. So I couldn't get any cigarettes. And then she whipped out her own phone, and she did try really help. And it didn't work. didn't work. She got some kind of message saying contact your bank. Now, it might have been because she didn't know what stuff to enter, but I said, shit, now I got to get to the bank. I knew it. That was always my fail-safe. Was nothing else worked, I would have to get to the bank and get some money, even though it's a long walk, long way south. I looked at my watch, I had 40 minutes. Well, you hustle, you can do that. So I hustled. And I had been building up my strength at the rehab, but I had had major surgery 3 weeks ago, and I've been in rehab. And long walks at the rehab were not long walks. And to the bank was a long walk. And when I was 30 of the 40 minutes were gone, and I thought, oh, shit, I may not make it. I may not make it. Hustle. Because I had stopped. I was going to sit and take a break because my legs were pooped. Okay, hustle. And I hustled. And I was on the verge of falling down the whole way because my legs were really, really tired. And it was so much steep downhill. So much steep. I didn't make it. It was 6 minutes after 5, and everybody was gone. It was shut. They don't have a culture of sticking around doing paperwork afterwards. When work is over at people's self-help credit union, then they're out of there. So I was exhausted, and I went across the street and stumbled into the grass and just laid down and tried to take a nap. A guy from the fire department came up and said, someone was worried about you. Oh, I'm okay, here's the deal. I'm just disappointed. So I got up, and there was a bus stop there, and the bus does stop there. And I had in the back of my mind that Overlook Apartments, which I liked so much, and which I liked that park. And as I had started to think, geez, you may end up homeless tonight. Your night homeless around this park, sitting and alternately sleeping on the benches, was not a bad night. That worked out pretty. That was a pretty peaceful night. So I had it in the back of my mind that I could end up here. And by this point, at the bank, well, you're not getting any money tonight. There's no way you're getting that card initialized now. So I went and sat by the bus stop at the bench, and I thought, one thing in the mail was a note from Overlook Apartments. It was a big fat thing. I thought maybe it was an application they had sent me. But maybe it's feedback about what happened with the account. So I got it out of my rolling suitcase here and said, your reason for being turned down was your criminal background. I just recently settled a case, and my public attorney encouraged me to not fight the case, which I could have fought. I could have won that case. I absolutely could have won that case, because he said if the judge ruled against me, I could get a jury trial. And he said, no jury of 12 is going to find you guilty of this. But here's what he suggested: I just downgrade it to a misdemeanor and do a plea deal and accept the charge, even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. And I trusted him, and I did it. And I went, oh, fuck, that is going to follow me. They turned me down because of that misdemeanor on my record. Fuck. And I felt so discouraged. And so branded. And I just sat there and wept. And then finally staggered up here. And this park has been a place for the lost and lonely tonight, and couples fighting and people crazy. And I kept my stuff close to me because I've been robbed twice, sleeping homeless. Haven't lost anything, and then this morning I'm bouncing back. It's getting close to daylight, and I will go by the bank, and I will get my debit card working, and I will get a phone. I think I'll sleep in a bed tonight, but I sure didn't last night. But I slept. I got about 4 naps of a half an hour to an hour, and ended up got some music going and danced. Went over there and danced to my favorite songs. So I'm bouncing back, but the line, and I watched a couple of my old videos, And my birthday toast from 5 years ago was originally I had done a heroic mountain rescue of some people who had gone off the mountain, and I had been helpful to them in a bluntly, extraordinarily heroic way. Went down a mountain. The mountain rescue guy said, "You can't go down there. You're gonna fall down the mountain." I said, "Well, let's see what happens. I don't know." Yeah. So that was gonna be my toast for my birthday. Was when told, "You can't do that. It's too dangerous." I said, "Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do something." But my toast ended up being, because I had some big reversals. My toast ended up being, somehow none of this has worked out the way I intended it to. And my first day of the rest of my life out of rehab did not work out the way I intended it to at all. It worked almost exactly the worst way it could have been, except mostly my spirits were fine. Mostly my spirits were fine. I knew it was one day, and I knew that today I'd get things fixed, and tonight I'll probably sleep in a nice, cozy hotel. We'll see. Okay. Tom, 16-minute video. Deal with it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it, but I'm not going to tell you the story, and then you'll just miss the whole thing.